Joining me now is someone who needs no introduction, former Knicks star and now an NBA champion, Jeremy Lin, who's now currently playing for the Beijing Ducks of the Chinese Basketball Association. Jeremy, what's it been like as you gear up for a season that may or may not happen overseas?
Man, it's interesting because every day we're training as if we're gonna have a season, but we don't know. And so, even for us, it's been sometimes we'll practice, including weights and everything. It'll be 3 times a day, and then we're just waiting every day to kind of hear what happens. And it seems like every couple weeks, at least so far, every couple weeks they've just been pushing it back a little bit further with the start date. And so we're hoping for a decision soon, at least on whether we're going to have the season or not. And that would be nice to have some clarity. But in the meantime, I think especially me, it's like I've gone through the quarantine, I've gone through the California lockdown, I've been in these situations where I didn't have access to a hoop or a weight room, or even if I had a hoop, it was just the one in my backyard, and I couldn't really compete or train with other people. And so for me to actually be able to play 5-on-5 every single day, and to, even be able to go around the city of Beijing and live a normal life and go to restaurants and go to different places and be out and ride bikes and do whatever, it's a lot of other people are going through a lot worse situations. So when you think about it, it's not that bad.
You penned a personal essay for the Players Tribune where you urged people to be the light. What does that mean to you?
I think a big part of it comes from, the imagery of it comes from my faith, being a Christian, and how if we live the way that Jesus wants us to live, that we are a light in a dark world. And I think right now we're seeing a lot of light and we're seeing a lot of dark. But I think every single day, every single moment, everyone has a decision to make, and you can add towards shining light, or you can be a part of the darkness. And so that's really where the concept of being the light came from. And a big part of that is, if I could just describe what being the light is to love others as Jesus loved us, or to love others as you would want to be loved yourself. And I think that's what it boils down to very simplistically, is just, are we doing that? Do you want people saying hateful comments to you online, or would you rather have them spend a little bit of time to try to understand you and where you're coming from? Would you, if you were the person who did not have that next meal, or if you were one of the children who are falling behind in education because, maybe you don't have the resources, or maybe you don't have the upbringing that is facilitating that, and you're getting further and further behind in your education, what would you want somebody to do for you in that situation? Well, now that you're in a different position, can you do that for kids who are actually in that position?
Right.
To me, these are the questions that being the light would kind of come down to.
Why was it so important for you to also use your platform to speak out against xenophobia, and kind of, especially with what was going on at the start of this, when President Trump constantly referred to this as the Chinese virus? Why did you feel that it was important to use your platform to speak out against that?
Because I think that's a great question. I think because basic humanity is that as a person, you shouldn't feel threatened or scared physically just for your skin color. That is a principle that I fully believe in. And I think, what we're seeing in the US is that Asian Americans are genuinely afraid. And this is not something that is, just some concept. Like, I was in California as we were going into lockdown, and I was at the grocery store with a mask on, and I was looking at the way that people were looking at me, and I was experiencing that. And I had friends who were like genuinely contemplating whether to go to the grocery store, and they're like, do I go to the grocery store because, one, I might get beat up, or the other option is I don't wear a mask, which puts me more at risk, or the third option is I don't go to the grocery store at all. I mean, that's a legitimate conversation I was having with some of my friends, is like, I don't know, like, and I think, like, having seen that made me realize, like, I need to say something. And the one thing that I don't want people to be misinformed about is that I only care about the rights and the health of Asian Americans. This is just what is the hot topic today. But I hope I hope that my reputation and my history speaks for itself, and hopefully what I do down the road, and that really my end goal is that a lot of minority groups and oppressed groups will speak up on behalf of each other. That's when I really think we'll also continue to see more of an incline and growth in social justice and social reform.
Two more questions because I know you're tight on time. Hey, so I took a look at the Be the Light campaign, and you are like $20,000 shy of hitting your goal of $1 million. What was the moment when you said to yourself, I'm going to do something, and I'm going to do something big to help COVID-19 relief?
Ooh, what was the moment? I wouldn't say there was one moment. I would say it was a buildup. It started, there's multiple dominoes. One, the conversation I just mentioned with you of my friend who didn't know whether to go to the grocery store or not. I think me having the 14-day quarantine and getting to experience that. I think, seeing the NBA and everything with that, and I was going to meet up with a friend. I was going to meet with Alex Len the next day, and he was getting ready for his game, and his game got canceled right after the Utah Jazz game got canceled. And so even that was just real because, we were planning to meet up after the game or the next day, and all of a sudden he didn't have a game, and we're like, dude, this is crazy. And so many other things, so many dominoes that kind of fell that gave me more and more of a stronger conviction. And eventually I was like, I need to donate. And one thing led to the next, and I was talking to my team, and we ended up just deciding on Be the Light, and we had decided on a $500,000 donation with another match. And so we're still pushing more and more closer towards our goals, and we're trying to do more and be more and help more.
And honestly, thank you for all that you're doing because it's tremendous. And just seeing that number was incredible. Obviously New York has been hit hard by this. And MSG recently kind of, tried to get everyone's mind off of what was going on by showing a whole week of Linsanity. And I've heard that it's really crazy overseas right now with your fans and the way they react to you, even though you're not even playing right now. How does that compare? Did Linsanity prepare you for what's going on overseas, or is it nothing compared to the kind of love that you got when you were in New York in 2012?
It definitely prepared me. I mean, it's in some ways it's comparable. I think, at least here it's a little bit different. Insanity, it was just so hot at that moment. But stories that I've experienced over the past, 9 months of being here are very similar to what I experienced in those 3 months over there. And so, you have people who somehow know where you live or somehow know what hotel room you're in, even though you're, switching and secretively doing certain things, and people are stalking, and waiting outside my hotel room or waiting outside my apartment in New York, or paparazzi or all these. I mean, it's the same stories. It's some of them are really funny and some of them are really, really scary. Even for me, like, yeah. I decided to go to a restaurant right then and there. I went to the restaurant and someone was waiting there with a letter, with a jersey, with a photo, with that he wanted signed. Like, and I was like, how did you know I was coming here? I didn't even know I was coming here. And he was like, what he said was that, like, he had seen that I posted from this mall one time. And so he was just wandering around the mall hoping I would show up. And I'm like, but still, how did you know I was going to choose this restaurant? Like, is that really what happened? I was like, almost like, are you tapping my phone to see, like, because I told somebody else, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to this restaurant right now, and so just weird stuff. And then a lot of really cool stuff where fans just blow me away with their reception. There's times when I can't even make it to the elevator at the hotel and in away games because just it's so hectic and there's so many people. So all in all, I'm blown away. I'm so grateful. I can't complain. My fans are another level.
How do you look back on your time in New York?
Right now, it's just full appreciation, full embrace. All the things that I may have hurt me from my time there, I've really moved past. I've reconciled with them, whether in my mind or in my heart or with people directly, and I just want to remember it for what it was. It was an incredibly miraculous and special time where there was so much inspiration and so much joy and And this is not just, I'm not thinking like, oh, I provided that for everybody. This is completely a two-way street. Like I have, by playing, I was able to encourage people. But what the fans did for me, like and I'm the biggest recipient of love and of inspiration from that whole thing. It was nobody else that benefited more than me. And so I'm just thankful and grateful, and it's and it's a pleasure every time I think back on it. I smile.